Okay, welcome back. It's time for This Week with Wendy, the newest show here on OC Talk Radio, where you'll hear the real talk about the SoCal state of mind. With your host, Wendy Ross, who after decades of working at real estate brokerages in Silicon Valley and Orange County, decided it was time to do something different, create a different kind of real estate business. And so she did, Veracity Real Estate. Time was right for a renewed commitment to bespoke client advocacy at all price levels. Yeah, we said all price levels. And that's seldom available within high-cost luxury markets like Southern California. And over time, Wendy has built a company of data-driven real estate investment advisors who are truth seekers and truth tellers. And all we can do is hope that Wendy will share some of that truth with us today here. So let's bring her in. Truth be told, she's here. Wendy.
Good morning, Paul.
How are you?
I'm good.
We're doing this one right before the holidays here. You got all your shopping done. You ready for the big event this weekend here?
You should have seen me last night at 10 o'clock in bed with my laptop, frantically looking for something online. Yeah.
My favorite color is orange because it's Orange County Talk Radio, so I'll just keep that in mind. All right.
Got it. Hence the orange glow around us here in the studio.
Orange everywhere, orange walls, everything here.
It's not a very well kept secret,
It's
Paul.
not. Well, sometimes you got to be on the nose. You got to be obvious. Well, it's obvious that you have an unusual, special guest today here. He's looking around like he's trying to figure all this stuff out. He doesn't look like the real estate attorneys that usually you drag in here.
No, he is not one of my many attorney friends. And I am so glad that I didn't give you any information in advance.
Nothing. You just told me this is going to be special. So I'm sitting here, I'm setting it up, and I'm waiting for some kind of incredible story because that's what we're looking for.
No, I think I told you hang on to your socks. So
Okay.
Before we get into Hans, I mean, I know I'm here because I'm a data nerd. And my show is all about bringing you market analysis that you can't find anywhere else. And one of the ways that I can bring you market analysis you can't find anywhere else is because I surround myself with experts and we bring new experiences to real estate. So in that vein, please welcome Hans Sheen.
It's good to be here.
Yeah.
Is he an expert or a data nerd? Or
Let me
neither?
tell you a little bit about Hans.
Okay.
So we're going to tiptoe into this.
Oh, please do.
So Hans was born and educated in Germany. Not terribly surprising given his name and his thick accent.
I thought he was an Irishman like me, but that's okay.
What accent?
Yeah, right. He is not Hans from France. He is Hans from Deutschland. But he attended law school. And, well, get this, in Germany, he's attending law school. And not that he's an overachiever or anything, he was also a semi-pro football player. So don't be confused. That
What?
was in Germany. Here
All
we
right.
call it soccer.
Oh, okay, all
But
right.
he was a very famous man. I'm sure the chicks went wild, right? So in 1986, Hans immigrated to the U.S., and today we can credit Hans with being a prolific patent holder and a testament to resiliency. So he went from law school to chemical engineering. Again, not much of an overachiever, right?
Yeah,
Not much
wow,
this man
okay.
can't and hasn't done.
And has nothing to do with data.
Nothing. No, he's not data-driven at all. See, nerds come in very surprising packages. You would never know, right? We're both nerds in our own very special way. So, and now he's become a master leather scientist. He is the chief of research and development at a company called Durahide. It's an international company that integrates the best practices of the past with today's leather technology and solutions, and he is the leather meister. He is known as the innovator of leather surface protection technologies used mostly in sports, military, and industry applications. So it's super impressive, but why I want him here today is to talk about how to create a workout sanctuary at home.
A workout sanctuary? I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this
Right?
whole
So
thing.
where's the tie and what is
Yeah,
he
law,
doing here?
and then we got professional soccer,
right.
and then we got working with leather.
Yeah, multiple international patent holder, but he's also a health, fitness, and gym expert. So he's going to talk to us about how to make a home gym with any space you have available. And that's the burning question. I'm like, really? But we're going to get into that. So now that I've teased you and tortured
Okay.
you, I'm going to do a quick market recap and talk about what happened this past week, and then we'll get into all that is Hans. So December's trend continues just like November did, 15% ahead of last year in spite of having 50% less inventory. It's just bizarre. We're selling consistently so much more with so much less. last week alone, we added 177 new homes to the market, which may sound like a lot, but the week before that, we added 215. So we are trending down in the inventory coming onto the market. We put 350 into escrow in the last 7 days versus a week before. We put 368 into escrow in that week. We sold 588 in the prior 7 days. That's pretty crazy compared to 522 the week before that. So what we are seeing is our historic trend of end of year crush. Those people who are trying to get homes closed during the current tax year seems to be on the way. So I expect, again, record-breaking numbers for the end of the month. And when we get there, I will share that. For all the folks out there saying, yeah, but where are the foreclosures? Yeah, where are the foreclosures? We have 8 total distressed homes on the market. So if you want to be one of the lucky 8, good on you. But, I think your better odds are in Vegas. So we're trending at 7 days on market the last 7 days instead of the 8 days on market we've seen in the prior 14 weeks. So again, this is fueling my argument that there's a push for the end of the year. Let's just see how this nets out. In another week or so, I'll have that data for you. So that's it. That's all I have for last week's data. It's way more fun to talk about Hans. And as you know, every week I try to bring a notable name to join me to talk about something behind the scenes analysis of what's really going on in SoCal real estate, so you can understand what's going on. And as you probably know by now, I look at the market a bit differently, and so do my guests. And Hans definitely looks at life a bit differently. He is not your average Joe. And we're going to share what the industry knows about everything real estate, including home gyms, and sometimes what they don't want you to know, but I do. And so does Hans, because we know that your home is going to be your best investment if you know how the game is played and you know how to invest your money wisely. So all of this brings me right back to Hans. Again, thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
All right, so we've teased Paul in the world with this incredible pedigree that you have, and you've developed so many technologies around leather. And when I met you, you were deep in that, still actually, I think, creating some patents, some
Yeah, I think I was
almost 30 years
writing
ago.
writing my second patent
Mhm.
when we met.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
So how did you get, my dear Hans, from leather to home gyms and working out? I mean, I know you had a life-changing event, and tell us about what that was and how you got from here to there.
Well, as knowing me as long as we know each other, that I had a life-changing experience in the early, about 12 years ago,
Hmm.
2010, 2011. I was diagnosed with brain tumors, and that happened actually in Taiwan. I had a stroke and big seizures in the morning. I went to the hospital, and out of nowhere, they came back and said, well, you have 30 minutes to talk to somebody, call somebody, do something.
Wow. So you're in Thailand on a business trip.
Taiwan.
Oh, sorry, Taiwan on a
Yeah,
business
on
trip.
a business trip.
For leather.
Was ready to go home the very next day.
And they're like, you got 30 minutes, go.
And they said, well, we can't let you out of here. We need to open your head right away to stop the swelling. And you have 30 minutes to call somebody. And then we go, and there's no way that you can go on a plane anywhere.
Right.
So
What went through your head then?
there nothing goes through your head.
Yeah.
If you go to I always say that this experience is what happens before, what happens after, you can all deal with. But the moment when you get diagnosed with something really, really bad and incredibly bad, you lose all your senses. You don't know what's going on. It gets dark it darkens up on you, and all you think is, well, what a way to die.
It's truly numbness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't know, and you're numb.
Yeah.
You're totally numb.
Well, you knew me some 30 years ago when I first got my heart diagnosis, and they
I
said I needed
know.
a pacemaker, and
I know.
and that's how I felt. It was like, wait a minute, what? And you're right. You just sort of lose touch. There's sensory is gone. You're in this little vacuum in your head,
Yeah.
going, am I going to live?
But the good news about it is, you learn how to fight. You learn how to, conquer and divide, and you know what is important in life right now. And then suddenly, even with real estate, talking about how do you make the connection from real estate to what I did and what I
Right.
do, and talking about the gym, it is that you enjoy everything much better, and much more. German, excuse my language.
Well, focusing on what you
So,
enjoy should matter.
exactly. And at that point in time, I just purchased a big home,
Hmm.
and then when I got back home finally, I said, I really want to enjoy this as much as I can for as long as I can. So it became that I changed my lifestyle, from stop drinking, stop smoking, but that's everybody else's choice. I'm not
Sure.
here an advocate for living healthy
No,
or
but this
whatever.
is your story right now.
But yeah, so and then I had this beautiful home, and I really wanted to enjoy it. And then COVID hit,
Right.
and we couldn't go to the gym anymore. And at times you weren't even allowed with 3 or 4 people in a group to
Hmm.
jog down or to work out wherever. So you had to rely on making your own space in your own home. And
I'm going to ask you, if I may interrupt,
sure,
to back up a little bit, because I know you personally and I know your story,
really,
but the people listening don't. And there's a little bit that I feel like you're kind of glossing over. And that is, it wasn't like, oh, I just wanted to enjoy my home and, oh, I want to be able to work out at home because of COVID. You had major rehabilitation that you had to do after your brain
right,
surgery, right? You
yeah.
had to relearn everything.
Everything, yeah. Well, I was going to get to it. The how it started actually. It started with the rehab in the hospital bed,
Mm-hmm.
to the rehab next door in a little room with a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and then able after a few months to fly home, starting light workout,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just kept with it, and I kind of like said, hey, look, I want to be the best I've ever been before. I want to get rid of all the baggage that I have,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to have a total reprogram of my attitude. You know,
So you transitioned from physical therapy and vocational rehabilitation
right?
into actually working out.
And then into taking it a little bit further than that.
No.
Yes,
How far
yes.
did we take it, Hans?
Well, I was working out and working out and working out, and I was kind of like, "Oh, this is working well for me." And as you mentioned before, I used to play pro sports, and
Hmm.
I always had, somewhat of a goal orientated attitude.
A little competitive, might we
Little
be?
little competitive, yes,
Just a skosh.
just a little bit. So, and then a trainer in the gym came to me and he said, "Hey, um, you should go on stage." And and I said, "What do you mean, a roquette?" you
It's a
know,
pity if this is a podcast because the man's got great legs.
So how do you know? So so I said, "You're kidding," and then he said, "No, if you would get a trainer that could prepare you for bodybuilding, as a natural bodybuilder as I am, because of the obviously of the brain surgery and whatnot, I could not have any kind of altering medication
Mm.
or supplements or whatever,
Hmm.
so I had to stay natural. And when you're my age, you have the metabolism of a house plant, you know. So so it's hard to make the gains that you want, but it worked out really well for me. And then long story short, the next thing, I found myself in Venice Beach, at Muscle Beach, being in a competition with 200 other people, all ages, and I'm walking the stage where the big ones, like Arnold, you
Right?
know.
Yes.
So it was kind of like exciting, and then I just, like you said, the competitiveness, I just caught the bug,
Like,
and
hey, wait, I can really do this.
yeah, and then I became better and better and better and better, and I actually started winning competitions, big competitions, international
What
competitions.
sort of titles do you hold?
Uh, Besides being the dumbest old man there is,
Yes, aside from that.
besides from that, um, well, I do have a Mr. South America and Mr. Baja, and I was in many, many competitions in the States, in Arizona, on the East Coast, and whatnot. And there's so many different,
Right. There's competitions everywhere.
yeah, and there's so many different competitions and organizations that I start for the WNBF, which is the World National Bodybuilding Federation.
Hmm.
So everybody that I compete against and with is also natural.
That's
So the
wonderful.
playing playing field is nice,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I do also competition where I compete against um, kids half of my age, you know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think the T-shirt that I have right now is older than some of the people that I competed against.
That
You know.
very well could be.
So yeah, that's how I got there, and
And it's important for people to
yeah,
know that that's why you're here because you really do understand what it takes to work out for years and years and years and what type of routines and regimens you might need. You might want to employ at home.
yeah, obviously, of course, and the thing is that you'll be amazed. Well, first of all, again, what you said, it is amazing that I did not know at some point in time after the surgery what was bigger, a cat or an elephant. You know,
Seriously, your brain was
it was not.
recovering from that.
It was not making the connection. I did not know that eight is bigger than six. You know,
Wow.
I could not pull a line between the numbers scrolled in random. You know, from one number to the next number. So, uh, you know, even mind association was nothing. You know,
Right.
and then I still, as you know.
Well, the fact that you forgot about me completely, I know your brain was really damaged.
Well, I didn't forget about you. I just forgot. So sh- should we let people into our?
No, we're moving on.
Okay.
Anyway,
Um,
but based upon that
yeah. So
experience,
yeah, it was really really hard, you know. And then it makes the little success steps so much more important, you
mm,
know. So looking at the big picture, you say, oh, you made all this thing and got from this to this to this to this. No, it was everyday little baby steps, you
mm-hmm,
know. And every time I could remember the violin, hammer, and piano, and that's a story that whenever you go to the rehab
mm-hmm.
and they tell you three things to remember, you know, like they
Oh.
did with our last president, you know. But he didn't have brain surgery, I did, you know. So you walk in and they tell you, you know, three things, you know, like violin, hammer, and piano, and then
Mm-hmm.
after an hour of rehab, they said, what are the three things that I,
Wow.
you know, and for the first 3 months, I couldn't remember. I could not remember. I mean, you were not allowed to write down or make, you know, they said these words and then immediately go into the other brain exercises, and I had no idea what they said,
Isn't it amazing
you
how
know.
you went from there? Because I remember you telling me months ago, and I didn't really understand the truth of it, that you didn't know how to use a doorknob.
I did not use it. I did not know how to use a doorknob. You know,
Yeah.
I woke up and I know what a doorknob was. I saw the doorknob. I know
Hmm.
that it opens the door, but you know, I didn't even try because I was baffled if it works or not and
Wow.
how it works.
So, and what an incredible example of starting from zero. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how anything functions. Your body was probably weak. Your brain connection to your body was not
I
at all
lost
what
I
it
lost
used to
I
be.
lost everything pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, my
Yeah.
body was not doing what it was doing before. My appetite was different. My sleep habits were different. Even when I was awake, everything was different. You know, and then deep down, you you have the feeling that something has to change. You know, I have to
Mm.
change and adapt to what my new life is like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that was the biggest hurdle. But then after you get that, everything after that is accomplishment and a blessing, and you just feel good about yourself. You know.
It's kind of like the universe gave you a reset in a very harsh manner.
Yeah, and the thing is also they give you a reset button, but they also comes with a warning and it says don't f this up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
don't fall into a pattern where you give up or give in,
Hmm.
or just be, you know, be a sourpuss and sit there around and say, well, this is the cards that were dealt, you know, and
Right.
you know, so you do something, you know.
So you
So
really embrace what matters
yeah,
and you understand what matters.
yeah, and it's kind of like a 12-step program too, you know, in of life. Not
Hmm.
because you have an addiction of anything, but it's like a 12-step program in life. You know, you make amends to the things where you went wrong,
Hmm.
or what you could have done better.
Hmm.
You know, and ever since that happened to me, I tell you, it's the only time for the past decade or so that I can go to bed every night and I'm sure I couldn't have done more or things better. And that gives you a good night's sleep, and then you wake up next morning, make your bed, and you keep going again.
But it's a profound story, and one that I know better than our listeners, and I encourage them to follow the podcast when we're done to get more information about how to follow you, because I'm sure that you're just going to get more and more
Yeah.
followers because you're fascinating.
Well, oh, thank you.
You are. And based on all of this experience, it sounds like the key takeaways for our audience is to like focus on what really matters, and
Yes.
perhaps bear in mind what Ralph Waldo Emerson said, that health is the first wealth. And so you're making the argument that part of the SoCal state of mind is that overall living and wellness matters, and that's mind,
Yeah. And
body, occupational, physical.
yeah, there's the same thing as in Latin. It's mens sana and corpore sano. That means a healthy mind and a healthy body.
See?
So and the thing is, coming back to the connection with real estate, it's everybody says the American dream is to to own your own home and whatnot.
Mhm.
So, but by the time you own your own home, you shouldn't be concerned about how do I pay for it, what do I do with it, and stress out over it.
Right.
Enjoy it.
Well, and like you
You know.
said, I mean, and that's why I teased with this at the beginning. You're like, okay, so you can create a workout haven at home with any square footage. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, you
how
don't-
is that possible? I mean, how much space do they really need to get started?
Well, when I started working out at home, I didn't need any space. I just need a chair. That's how I started.
Wow.
And I got little elastic bands, that help me out, and you do everything that you can do to get your muscles in motion, your body in motion, and stretching your body just with very, very simple, easy steps. And then you go from there. And the other thing is, what I noticed when I was looking for a place to put a gym in,
Mhm.
how much space you actually have in your home that you don't even use. Everybody has that extra bedroom, that's for the, you find the ironing board, and you find an old treadmill maybe, or
Or like
a
my house, it's
bicycle,
the dog's room.
or the dog's room, or and it always cold in there and smells like grandma, so and you can take these and I did it in my garage. I live in Southern California. I have a big garage, and so I built a huge carport, for the cars so they can stand outside, and I built a 500 square foot gym. But then again, I was doing it kind of like on a professional basis, so I needed a little more elaborate
You
gym.
had built up to that.
But I started out with a couple of lightweights and elastic bands.
So if somebody wants to use like half of their garage, they could do that.
half of their garage, they can move a chair aside in the living room,
Right.
and put a mat down and start out with the basics, with your sit-ups, with your push-ups, use an elastic band to stretch your shoulders, stretch your back,
Mhm.
and go for a walk.
Is
People drive to the gym to get on the stair stepper, or
Yeah.
to get on on the treadmill. Why not take the dog and walk for half an hour?
You know,
You know.
that's part of the reason I got to Harley was
Yeah.
because it forced me to go for long walks.
That's why I got brain tumors, because it forced me to to start working out and change my life.
Not exactly the same thing.
Oh, it's not the same thing.
Not the same
Yeah.
thing.
Wow.
So
Well, as you
something-
know, I just wanted to make sure that I'm on the right track. That's why I had a second cancer surgery about 9 weeks ago.
I
So,
know you have been through it. So
But
I'm amazed that you're up and around and you're here in the studio talking to us so soon.
well, because you asked me. For
Oh,
anybody else, I would not have been available. No, I'm just kidding.
see? I try to be nice to people.
I
So
know.
decades later, they still talk to
I
me.
hope I just made some points.
You did. You scored
Okay,
heavily.
good.
So I have seen photos of your gym at home, and it does look like a professional workout studio. It's impressive. But what killed me was all of the statues and all the trophies around. You have so many of them. It's really a testament to how somebody who just wanted to get back to wellness.
Yeah, but like I told you, I worked out from start of the rehab later on, and this competitiveness that I have, so I want to, every day should be, more and better than the day before. And every time you learn something, you want to do it better the next day, and that, I don't know why it took such a traumatic event that I got to that,
Hmm.
but it is easy to reprogram yourself if you really want to do it. I don't think that you need brain tumors and cancer and whatnot to do it. It helped me.
Well, that's because you're a stubborn old goat,
Yeah,
so
I
you
know.
needed a bigger push than most.
I know. So, but everybody can reprogram your brain, and
Yeah.
and the thing is, like you said, a healthy mind and a healthy body, and health is wealth. Is start at home and take the time, So
And like you had alluded to earlier, with COVID, we're all revisiting what home means to us.
it is so much more of a sanctuary now than it ever was, and you feel safe and sound there,
And you make me think of something. So I'm a homeowner. I'm at home. I've carved out space wherever it is to be my health and wellness sanctuary. Is there anything in the environment you think is important for people to have or not have in that environment?
Well,
Thanks, Paul.
Paul,
Do not touch the sound board.
Don't touch the board. He's got me so nervous here. I'm touching things. I don't even know what I'm.
you just have a bad conscience because you didn't work out this morning.
That's not the truth.
Well, the thing is, like I said, you can really, it is not what you surround yourself with, the big gym or the big equipment or whatnot, but it is you that makes the change, And funny enough is that your body weight is the first weight that you also use to start out, is as weights that you push around, and you can make so many different exercises and whatnot, I mean, I don't want to tell people what they do for exercises, because you can put a YouTube channel on, and you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different. But the thing is, just starting.
I love
that's
Just start.
Just start. And if you get over the hump that you actually exercise one time that you really didn't want to, that's the game changer.
That's the new beginning.
Yeah, that's a new beginning. That you said, hey, look, my health and my well-being and my saneness is more important than my job, or that whatever it is that day. You said, make that a priority. As long as you make yourself a priority, and that goes with the wealth and with the health, and being being happy.
And at the risk of sounding glib, I think that our wellness and our happiness begins and ends at home.
Well,
It
yeah,
really does.
yeah.
It really does.
But like I said, I'm an immigrant. I came to the United States in '86, and so it was engraved in my brain that once you buy a house especially in a nice state like California, once you buy a house in California and you're a homeowner, you got it made.
Yeah.
People forget that.
It truly is the American
because
dream.
nowadays, the bar is so high of, nowadays you have to have a jet to make it, then you have to have, the car collection to make it, you have to have.
I will talk about your car collection next time.
Well, yeah. Well,
Oh,
damn,
you went there. All right.
I went there.
There's a bunch I want to talk to you about, but we're going to have to take a quick pause here and ask Paul if he would please share with us a little information about our sponsor this week.
Well, absolutely. I'm fascinated here. I'm trying to remember to hit the right buttons and listen at the same time here, because Wendy always surrounds herself with some fascinating, great strategic partners and people who really know a lot about a lot of things. And if you want to know more about getting a good lawyer, well, you couldn't do better than our sponsor, Ford and DiUlio. It's an Orange County-based boutique litigation firm with experienced attorneys from big law firms. Partners who founded it did so on the concept of aligned interest, where their success is tied to your success and where the rewards for them are in being efficient and effective, not just making the bill get higher, and where they engage in the relentless pursuit of their clients' goals, whether in litigation, mediation, or at trial. If you want to try a different approach, go check them out, FordDiulio.com. Just like it sounds, FordDiulio, FordDiulio.com. All right, Wendy, you got to let me ask a couple of
I was
questions.
just going
I
to
don't
say
even know where to go. We could
before.
spend forever on this guy. He just casually says, "Oh yeah, I was a soccer player, and then I do leather, and then I had a heart attack or something, or a brain
Yeah,
tumor,
yeah. Had
and
a
then
stroke. Yeah.
yeah, no big deal, and this and that, and I'm doing this, and it's just yeah, wow. Every one of these is like, really, what?
Right. If one thing happened to a human, you'd be like, "That's amazing."
I, without getting deep into his story again here, when did it become clear that he had to change? Because it sounds like he was a pretty high achiever who didn't change, perhaps, who didn't get into all these workouts and everything. Was it the brain tumor? Was it waking up? When did you say I got to reprogram myself?
Well, like I said before, it's the time, the second, the millisecond that when somebody tells you this is it, and there's no, you know, I got the percentages, and I didn't even want to play the percentages, what the doctor said, what the percentages may be to come out normal, and the thing is, the whole environment, you go to the neurology department and you see all these poor kids, especially, and these patients, not capable of walking anymore, not capable of talking anymore, having hoses coming out of their head and whatnot. And it just gives you such a reality check, It's not like a reality check of going to see some homeless people or to go see some poor people or whatever, and saying, a reality check when it happens to you. A reality check is when you see everything around you and everything seems to be falling apart. And then you make yourself a promise and says, if I get through this by the sake of God, then you're going to make the changes, you pay back, and you pay forward as well.
But I'm always fascinated with promises made at those critical moments because there's a certain bargaining that goes on. If I get through this, God, then I'll change.
Yeah, there was no bargaining. There was no bargaining. What I'm saying is, if I get, it was not conditional that I
Right.
make the changes.
And,
If I weren't able, because I would not be alive to make these changes, so be it.
and then so many of us say, oh, now I'm going to change because I survived a fire, a disaster, a bankruptcy, near death, something, a divorce, something.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to change. And yet most of us don't.
But in my case, it was not changing. I didn't change from cold to hot, or from hot to cold, or from green to red. I just changed by making better decisions.
Mm.
I I made it a point at the very beginning not to let emotions interfere with my reactions. I started sleeping over things, over emails, over people approaching me, sleep over it and don't respond right away in anger or put emotions in it. So that's how I changed my life. I didn't change my life in what I was doing. I didn't change my life, so saying I'm not going to be a bad boy anymore. I still have my flaws like I had before. I just make better decisions. That's a difference. I mean, these resolutions that you make and these, like you said, bargaining that you make.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. Because you forget about that. You make resolutions on when you're drunk on champagne on New Year's Eve. And when you wake up with a headache, you say, oh, what the hell.
So next week we'll talk about
Yeah.
that.
We'll talk about it. So I got one more quick one, and then I'll let you ask your personal questions here. And this sort of ties back to the theme of the show, which is real estate. Everybody I know either has or aspires to have some kind of workout space at home. And yet none of the homes were designed for this. Are we ever going to get to a place where, just as when I was a kid there was a dining room,
Right.
nobody has that anymore, are we going to have a workout room that comes with the house? It's not a converted bedroom. It's not an extra stall in
That
the garage.
is a really good question, and something that we are starting to see builders do. I mean, granted, let me just start here. There are so few new build homes in Orange County
Yes.
because there's just such a scarcity of dirt upon which to build.
Right.
However, those homes that are being built, most of them are adding a supplemental, what they're calling a bonus room or a multi-purpose room, and they market it as a yoga room, a workout room, a second office space, because they recognize people want to have that. So they're not necessarily saying this is your home gym, but they are acknowledging that it is built and ventilated, usually has a bathroom adjacent to it, so it's suitable for that purpose.
Yes, exactly. It's
Yeah.
thought out. It's not
Yeah.
just an extra thing in the garage where we didn't park a car this week. Yeah.
Correct.
Ye-
Correct.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends in sports, athletes, and
Go figure.
they yeah, and they built the first thing that they built when they built a home or designed or called for is a workout area.
Right.
So and that's just, I mean, if you are into pottery, you make sure that when you have a house, you make room, to have your turntable,
For your art studio.
for your art studio.
Yeah.
So, but nowadays with all the trend of healthy living and whatnot, I see the difference myself in houses that I visit from friends, and that they build their house around, make sure they have a gym there.
Virtually
Yeah.
every spec build includes a gym now.
Yeah.
So when people are building a one-off home, there's a gym.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a great question. So people don't have to reinvent the space if they have the luxury of wealth. But I love Hans's point that you don't have to be a wealthy person to create a space. You
Not
can
at all.
literally start with a chair.
not at all. If you can build a gym for hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can build a gym for tens of thousands of dollars, and you can build a gym, for $2,000.
Right.
And you literally have the same effect on mentally and physically. It can have the same effect on you than every gym you can dream of. It's you that makes the difference. It's not the weights, not the machine, not the flooring, not the lighting, not the big pictures, not the big mirrors. It's you that makes the difference.
So
it
commit to
really does.
yourself.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
the thing is, you enjoy the crap out of your house.
Wow.
That's just how it is.
I think that's important.
Yeah,
Of
it is.
course. All right. So I don't know if we talked very much about this, Hans. I always, of course, want to talk to my guests about what they do professionally and their background. They're never as interesting as you. I pity the next one because this is going to be really tough.
And never convicted.
And never convict.
But often accused.
Oh, we shan't talk about the color orange today.
Yeah.
But moving on, what I like to do at the end is sort of bring the person to the fore. In your case, that will be far easier than at most. I ask everyone a static set of questions,
Sure.
kind of like the Proust questionnaire or what you see in Vanity Fair. So here we go. What city do you call home?
Well, as you know, I'm a butterfly.
I know.
So after obviously my hometown, is always my hometown in Germany. But once you have immigrated into another country, you make your home where you feel comfortable.
Right.
And I'm a kind of guy. I'm as you know, I'm not very shy, and I make friends very, very fast. And wherever I lay my hat, I call it home and make the best out of it. So I don't really have, and I was lucky enough. I had a really, really good real estate broker this year who got me a house
Now he's just kissing up,
at
and I
the
like
beach,
it.
and I'm
We need a good broker. If you can give me a name offhand
Right,
here. 'cause
right.
I'm
Do you know
she
anyone?
looking for a good broker.
She gave me a card. I have to look. I have to look it up.
Yeah, just offline.
Yeah, it's when
Wendy. I think her name is Wendy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a
So,
song after
so Long Beach. We're talking about Long Beach.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
it's a very, very nice place that we have there, and I was lucky enough to have homes in the most beautiful places here in California and in Oregon, and I enjoy it just the hell out of it, but I do call actually Long Beach my home now because
It's your new favorite.
I fell in love with this whole area,
Yeah.
and I always wanted to be at the beach, and now I have a house in the mountains deep in the snow. I have a house in the foothills, and at the beach. So I'm blessed.
What is it about Long Beach? I'm sorry to jump in again here, but I have a friend who lives in Long Beach down by, I don't know, you can walk to the beach from there. It's an older home that he bought, and it's in like a really old neighborhood,
Yeah.
and he rehabbed this house. And he just gets a kick out of him. He goes kayaking in the little canals,
It
and
is
he walks
always-
down. And I'm like, Long Beach just seems like downtown LA to me or
I
something.
know. I love it. It's
No,
it's less urban than that.
It is so. it calms you down. I mean, I have a, like I said, I have a home right at Mount Bachelor in Sun River Resort, um, which we turned into an Airbnb now because we don't go there a lot. Um, and I have this place in a little town called Monrovia here, and which is in the foothills, and I have the bears and the deer and the coyotes and the foxes and whatnot, and it's very, very quiet. But there's something about Long Beach that relaxes you, you know, and the building where I live in, that the broker we don't want to mention got me, is on the sand, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So 72 steps down the stairs, and I'm on the beach.
In the new year, I want Wendy to do periodically market profiles because
Ooh,
she was
that's a
talking about
great idea.
Fountain Valley, and nobody
Yeah.
thinks of living in Fountain Valley.
Right.
Nobody
Yeah.
thinks about. We think of the Newport Beach or or Costa de Caza. You've got these areas that everybody knows, Laguna Beach. Nobody talks about Long Beach.
The
or
unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Well, like Santa Ana. When I say I live in
Santa
Santa
Ana,
Ana,
another one.
people are horrified. But I have to guess. I mean, again, knowing Hans, and that having grown up in Europe, Long Beach has, it to my mind, a
Yes.
little bit of that European flavor.
It does.
There are some older buildings. You've got residential
Beautiful,
mixed
yeah.
with commercial. You can walk to a cafe,
It's great.
right? You
Yeah.
can walk to little
And
markets.
it's so diversified, you know. It's not like when you go into newer planned cities, you know. Then you see all these. There are no more individual coffee stores.
Right.
There are no more individual restaurants. There's, you know, the old buildings, you know. So this is Long Beach
Agreed.
is really, really good.
It's diverse.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be tough. I can't imagine. Given all that you have done, what do you consider your greatest achievement to date?
Well, there's a little tiny piece of paper that I have, and it's written by a 5-year-old kid, or it was written by a 5-year-old kid, and that was the son of the owner of the company that bought my company. So his name was Benjamin, and the acquisition, the sale was going on for over a year, and I met little Benjamin a lot of times in the office, and we played with the Matchbox cars, and you know me and kids, you know. So, and when we finally concluded the acquisition of my company, it was called we called it the Benjamin Project Benjamin. You know, the whole time, you know, because we were looking for something, so we started communicating with Project Benjamin. So anyway, we made everything, we tightened everything up. The deal was done, money was transferred, everything, and I was in seven heaven. And then I got a little piece of paper. It was written by Benjamin, and he was, like I said, 5 years old. He could, you know, just big print, and it says, Uncle Hans, congratulations on Project Benjamin. And I know,
So is it fair to say that that's your most prized possession as well?
yes,
Oh,
yes, it's.
I did not know this. It's a new story for me.
Well, you can
You're-
eat everything, but you cannot know anything.
You are so full of stories.
You know. No, so I have that. I have this big trophy, you know, a lucite trophy that commemorates the sale of the company and congratulatory signatures and whatnot, you know, which means, excuse my language, which means a lot to me, but also doesn't mean shit. You know.
Right.
So,
No, a note from a 5-year-old
but that
is
little
everything.
note from the 5-year-old, you know, that he's, you know, and I'm an Uncle Hans,
Of
you know.
course.
Oh,
Of course you
that
are.
was, and I have it. I framed it. I have it, and I will never live without it.
That's
You
incredible.
know? And so what you said before, all the trophies and all the
Right,
other
yes.
accomplishments, you know, it's nothing like looking at that because it's so genuine.
It's
know.
real.
Yeah.
So do you have a personal motto?
Well, my motto is always, you know, sleep over it now. you know,
Nice.
because it doesn't matter how bad the news are or how, you know, aggravating the information is that you get and whatnot. Sleep over it.
That's
you know, don't
brilliant
make
advice.
a big deal out of it. And I've always been a very, very emotional person anyway. You know, so but I'm emotional about what I do. But when it comes to business, I know how to conquer and divide and be less or zero emotional over closing a business or making decisions or whatever. And I don't care if I hurt somebody through that period, they will understand, you know, because they know me, you know.
And to
So,
know you is to love you.
well,
It's true.
don't
All
for-
right.
don't forget that.
We're going to have to wrap it up as much as I hate to say goodbye. And I welcome everyone to join us next week. So we're going to have some special end-of-year reflections, some predictions for the next year. I'll have a chat with one of my dear friends, Tony Burton, who's a brilliant real estate attorney. And until then, have a great day.